Hi, my name is David. I own and operate Country Whatnot Gardens here outside of Rochester, Indiana, which is about an hour south of the Michigan state line. Here with another plant that makes a great companion plant for bamboo is the Shimpaku junipers, or juniper, Junipers chinensis shimpaku. And it's great. This down here, let's see, right there, that is a Junipers procumbens nana, the dwarf Japanese garden juniper. Now that little rascal there gives me a skin rash, and I don't know if I can get the camera to focus well enough or not. See, nana down here, the procumbens nana, it has juvenile foliage. I don't know if that's picking that up or not. It's real spiky juniper foliage. That is juvenile juniper foliage. Now, mature juniper foliage, I'll show you, I'll use the shimpaku as an example, is soft. Let me see if I can get to focus there. There we go. That's shimpaku. Now shimpaku, the defining trait of Junipers chinensis shimpaku is that it lacks juvenile foliage. It's soft. Shimpaku does not break me out and give me a rash. The reason I theorize that the nana juniper gives me a rash is because it breaks open my skin and then those juniper oils get in there. So whenever I work with the nana juniper, I wear gloves. Whenever I work with shimpaku, I don't have to. And here you can see I've paired shimpaku with Hibanobambusa tranquilla and shirashima. And there's more of it right back here. Let me see if I can get it turned the right direction. There we go. There's the bamboo. There's the junipers, both, let's see, this way. Both the shimpaku and then the Junipers procumbens nana, the dwarf Japanese garden juniper. And they both work well together because the shimpaku is up here, it's a mid-height. And then you've got the nana juniper, which is more of a ground cover, and the colors work back and forth. The shimpaku bronzes in the winter, while the nana juniper is more of a blue-green. So, and then you've got the cream color variegation of the Hibanobambusa. So the colors complement each other well, and they grow together well too. Now, underneath this planting, I originally put down some fabric weed barrier. It lets rain through and keeps weeds from coming up. But if you get leaves and debris and stuff just over the years that falls on that weed barrier, it will then create a growing medium for weeds then to germinate in. And that's where I'm at now. Is that weed barrier has been there for so many years that, and so much growth, just dust from the air and old leaves from the bamboo and old scales from the juniper as they mature and grow new growth, and the old ones fall and it lands down in there on that weed barrier, see? And then weed seeds can get in that and germinate. But it still works pretty well for keeping the Hibanobambusa mostly at bay from the junipers. You can see there's one culm, and that's really all I have at this end. It has worked pretty well. Now, weed barrier being a plastic can eventually wear out, and it could be that maybe I'll one day, if I've got enough time and willpower to get down there and clear a path, that maybe I'll put down some new weed barrier. But we'll see. Right now, I don't think it's that necessary because it's still doing a reasonably good job. But now for the Hibanobambusa, it's this far north. Its shoots are a lot smaller, a lot finer, less tenacious. Now, if you were putting weed barrier around something like rubber marginata there, I don't think weed barrier would curb it. I really don't. I think it would lift it or possibly maybe go through it. Hibanobambusa is just not that strong. So it works well. And I'm going to get down there and I'm going to cut out this culm. And for that, I've got another tool here. These are tools that bonsai growers use, and I grow bonsai trees as well. So I've had this particular pair. These are called concave cutters, and these come in carbon steel and stainless steel. These are the carbon steel ones, and you can expect to pay anywhere from $20-something to well over 100, 150, depending on the pair. These are kind of basic pair, carbon steel. They're made by Joshua Roth. They run in the $40 range. And that's what they are now. I don't believe I paid that for them, because I have had this pair here, and they last a long time. I've had this pair here for the better part of 30 years. I've had them for a good 28 years, and they're still holding up, still have a decent edge. They have been sharpened some over the years. You can sharpen them as long as you keep that angle there so that both halves match up. Let's see if I can turn it this way. There we go. And their purpose, their intended purpose, is for branch removal. And I'll show you right here. This is, before I get to the bamboo, this is an Oshima cherry, Prunus, I believe it's Prunus speciosa. And it's the fragrant cherry blossom of Japan. It's supposed to be the fragrant one. Your other cherry blossoms, like your Yoshinos, your weeping cherries, things of that nature, aren't really fragrant. Especially not, I don't believe Kanzan's fragrant either. This is supposed to be fragrant. It has not bloomed for me yet. It's a relatively young tree. It's about 10 feet tall. And right here we have a low-growing branch. You can see this is going to be a problem in later years. Now, I'm going to get right down in here with my concave cutters, and I'm going to be careful not to cut my collar. That's your healing portion around the base of your branch, and I'm just going to give this a snip right there. Now, you can see these being concave, cutting in like this, have created a concave cut. What's going to happen is that collar rolls over that cut, it's going to create a flush surface. So you're not going to end up with a bump or a nasty scar or something like that. Now, that is the intended use for these. These can also be used for cutting small bamboo, cutting branches off of bamboo, and so forth like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get down in here, right down in here with this juniper. I'm going to get below, I can't hardly show back in there. I don't know if this is showing or not. The camera's away from me. Forgive me if it's not. Going to get below the growth point of foliage for this culm, and I'm just going to cut it off. Now, ideally, you'd want to get it just above the ground, and when you cut it just above the ground, you want to cut it just above the node so that rainwater doesn't stand in your internode. Let me show you as an example. Now, if I cut this, okay, there's the node right there. I'm going to use my nose to point to it because I don't have another free hand. Okay, now if I cut this at the inner node right here, you can see that's hollow. Now, if I have a long, hollow straw sticking up above ground like this, rainwater is going to collect in there. It could rot, it could mildew, a variety of things could happen. Now, let me see if I can put my camera over here because I really need my other hand. There we go. Okay, the Shimpaku Juniper's holding my camera. Okay, so if I cut here, just above this, let's say this is in the ground, and this is my node, and I cut just above the node, that's solid. Rainwater can't stand in there. So when you're cutting your bamboo, if you're cutting it in the ground, that's ideally the way you want to cut it, is you want to cut it just above a node, the solid portion of the culm, because the diaphragm is right in there, inside the node portion of the culm. Now, since I didn't do that for very good demonstration purposes, that's how to do it, because it was back in the juniper where I couldn't really show you. But anyway, junipers, another good plant to plant around bamboo. Maybe not the nana, because you can't really get under it to trim shoots out. The shimpaku, on the other hand, are really nice, good mid-sized single stem shrubs, and they'd be easy, real easy. They're easy to cut the bamboo out of because they're single stem. So they go well with your sun-loving bamboos. Now, to trim the junipers, there's a trick to that, to shimpaku. You can see they're a little bit shaggy. They've got this new growth that came out last year. Now, if I was to trim these and keep it as a manicured hedge, I would come back here to last year's growth with my cutters, and I would take that back right there. Now, that's going to create a scab there on that branch. Now, there's not any new growth out to show you really well on this, but during the growing season, Shimpaku, when they're producing these long shoots, like this off of the end of their branches, let's see, there's one, you can see it. They'll be in shoot stage, they'll be down here. Now, if you take a Shimpaku and you just go along your hedge and you pull off your new growth tips like this, that'll keep it all nice and compact and it won't leave any scarring. The tips won't turn brown. But if I was to come out here with shears and cut along like this, the entire surface wherever I cut on these Shimpaku would be brown, because you're slicing scales when you do that. You're slicing right mid-scale across there, and every cut is going to turn brown. When you pull this, I don't know. Let me see if I can get one of these out of here for a good example. Let me see. Okay, right, maybe right here. Okay. Let me get my camera at a good spot again here. Now, let's see. Okay, right there. Is it going to focus? Not hardly. Okay, well, this little growth is, well, let's see. It's rings of scales. No, I'm sorry, my camera's just not going to do it. Anyway, it's rings of scales, and when you pull these, you're pulling out like a little stack of cones, and you're not slicing through any individual pieces of foliage. You're cutting it, you're pulling it rather, like this, like that, and you're left with a whole scale around there. So that the tips of those scales aren't turning brown then. So if you want to prune junipers, in particular Shimpaku, the best way is to just finger pinch them. You don't come along with shears and cut them like that, because they will turn, wherever you cut, the entire surface will turn brown. And then that's going to ruin your whole landscape, in my opinion. It'd look nasty with the bamboo then, because you'd have brown tipped junipers all over the place. But there it is. And Shimpaku is my favorite juniper, by the way, just because it doesn't break me out. It's soft. It lacks that stabby juvenile foliage like I was talking about. It's got the soft, mature foliage to it. And if we go around here on the front side of this and look at it this way, you can see there's even more of the nano junipers here on the front side of the planting, and more Hibanobambusa down at this end. And then it complements the junipers well. Looks sort of almost like a dwarf mountainscape with bamboo growing around the base of the mountain, with the junipers being then sort of the mountainous representation in the landscape. But anyway, that has been a short visit with the junipers here. the two varieties that I grow here with the bamboo. And I hope you found it useful. And again, if you're planting junipers within the root zone of a bamboo, I would go more so with the Shimpaku versus the nano juniper. But I hope that's been helpful, and I appreciate you stopping by. If you liked the video, please like, subscribe, and share. I'd appreciate it. And until next time, I'll see you later. Thanks. Bye.